Pekný deň všetkým fanúšikom Spartaka Trnava a televízie Spartak.TV. Vítajte pri sledovaní tradičnej diskusnej relácie z kabíny. Dnes prvýkrát s trénerom Spartaka Trnava Nestorom El Maestrom. Nestor, welcome in our show.
Thanks for having me.
So we have some questions for you, so we can start. You came to Spartak Trnava before this season. Preseason started in June, so how did you feel when you come to pitch and after the month when you know you was trainer of Spartak Trnava, you start working with your boys?
I feel like I've been here for a lot longer than I actually have. It was the beginning is always an intensive time. You have to work a lot, really, and especially in a new league and with the new language. I feel like I've been here for a year, even though it's been 2.5 months. But I've settled in and we've started okay. There's a certain routine developing also privately, so it's a little bit more relaxed now.
Okay, pre-season had 1 month. Are you satisfied with the training process with your team and the friendly games?
Sure. I mean, no one really knows where they stand after a pre-season, and you know, the beginning of the season is usually the indicator for how well you worked, if you worked well at all. And looking at our results, we can say that our pre-season was good. Probably. It's fitness in football is not an exact science. There's many different approaches. You work from experience. But as far as this is concerned, I think we're absolutely fine. I'm sure that no team can dominate us physically, and we have been able to dominate a few teams physically. Tactically, this is a process which lasts for a lot longer. But I think also we've used this time well to try to establish a certain identity, what kind of football we want to play, and of course everything is easier if you start by winning some games.
Which game in pre-season was the best in your opinion, and which was not good?
Like I said, it seems so long ago. Overall, I understand your fascination with pre-season games. I've said it before during the pre-season also. For me, it's a little bit embarrassing to talk about pre-season games. For me, it's the same as if you asked me how was training today, who was good, who was not so good, about the performance of the players or the team. This is like training. Let's forget the pre-season. I think fortunately we had overall positive results, so there wasn't a build-up of pressure before you start the season. You don't want that. I come from a different league where nobody cares about the pre-season games in terms of results. So for me, they're important physically and tactically, but this is a long time ago. They were fine. All of them were fantastic.
After the final pre-season game against Etoģer, you start the Fortuna Liga against Michalovce. How do you rate this game with time?
It wasn't an easy game, but we won, and we won deservedly, I think. I'm usually a little bit negative during the game and in half-time, and directly after a game I always think we should have done more, we should have won more clearly. And then in the analysis process, after I watched the game on video, I realized in a lot of the games, I think also Podbrezova and also Rosenberg, looking at it completely neutrally, we were unlucky to have won these games by only 1 or 2 goals. In my opinion, we could have won by a bigger difference, and usually after I watch the game twice or maybe more, I feel happier because the boys put into practice what we want, And Michalovce is an example of this. I think realistically we should have won this game by more than 1 goal, but it was very, very important to start with a win and with a clean sheet. And it gave us a certain kind of confirmation that we're on the right track, and a certain confidence to then, you know, carry on the winning series for a few games after that.
You start the season with the goal in the 5th minute of the game. So do you think this goal helped your team even in self-confidence?
Of course. I mean, every goal is important, but the first is usually the most important. If you can score first, everything is much easier. You know, goals change matches not only in terms of results but also psychologically, and it's difficult to control this. When you're leading, regardless of whether you want to defend or attack, you do it better. And when you're losing, it's more difficult because psychologically you're down. So of course we've had the fortune of having been able to score first in, I think, 3 out of the 5 games that we've played, and so far whenever we've scored first we've won, and sometimes also when we haven't scored first we've won, which is good.
Okay, in 2nd round you beat Podbrezova. And after the game you said we played almost perfect away game. Why only almost?
It's very rare to have a completely perfect game. It would have been nicer to have won 2-0. We didn't need to concede this goal in the 91st, 92nd minute, although it had no real significance. We played for 30 seconds after that. But Podbrezova was less emotional and more intelligent performance. We were very effective, which is fantastic. You know, when you're leading by 2 goals or more, as a coach, you are a little less nervous on the sideline. For as long as you're leading by 1 goal difference, you know that any instant the game can change. So it felt nice for me to be so comfortable and relaxed for 91 minutes. Yeah.
Next week you beat at home Trenčín, and it's a good test for your team character, because you in this game when you won against the good team with Trenčín, but you losing in this game 0-1, but you can win this game.
Yeah, we had some fantastic individual performances against Trenčín. Obviously, Boris played a fantastic game, scoring 2 goals, 1 on the counter attack, very unusual for a central defender. But next to him, Martin Todt also played fantastically, and I think, if I can remember, Marvin Ego was very, very good in this game, even though he didn't score. They had big problems controlling him for the whole of the 90 minutes, and that was one of the reasons why I felt we had an upper hand for large periods of this game. And it was a fantastic win, and again a new confirmation that we're on the right track, and one more time that we were able to quiet down our critics, and there are many of them who before the game were saying, okay, Michalovce, you won, Podbrezova, you won, but these are small teams, you must win this game. And now against Trenčín, against this fantastic footballing side, this mighty Trenčín, you will have big problems, and we managed to win, so it's nice to keep the critics quiet. Yeah.
2 weeks ago we won in Rosenberg after 3 years, but it's not an easy game for us.
I beg to disagree. I thought we played an unbelievable first half in Rosenberg. You know, to win all of these difficult games, the whole team needs to play well, obviously, and needs to keep their organization and needs to stick to the plan, and everybody must run and everybody must fight. That goes without saying. But to win, you need 1 or 2 or 3 standout individual performances. And in Rosenberg, for example, our captain played at a very, very high level. It was one of the biggest reasons why we were so unbelievably good in the first half, I thought. People say it was difficult. I can only tell you about what I think. For me, it wasn't difficult. Yes, we defended for large periods of the second half very close to our goal, and Rosenberg had a lot of the ball. But remember that we won this game by 2 goals difference. They didn't score. They didn't make us nervous. There wasn't a chaotic 20 minutes at the end because all the time we're leading by 2 goals. Don't forget that also in the second half, yes, they had some chances, but on the counter-attack, we also, and don't forget that we scored a legitimate goal. So with, I don't like to criticize the referees because they're people, but if, for example, we had some perfect robot referee, we would have won this game 3-0. And I'm not sure if you would still say it was very difficult. How? It was a difficult opponent, yeah, a team which finished in front of us last season, which played a very good European campaign this year, a team which traditionally is very, very strong at home. And we went there and won by 2 goals. So it was maybe the best game that we played this season.
Last week we played first Slovak traditional derby against Slovan Bratislava. We lost, but in this game was 8,000 people in stadium. So are you happy? Because in first round against Michalovce was only 2,000 people.
Sure. Look, anybody who works in professional football will tell you one of the worst things is when you play in front of an empty stadium. Yeah. And for the players, it's even more important than for the coach. But also, I feel atmosphere. And for example, when you play against Rosenberg, and there are, I don't know, but 600 very loud fans, it's not only nicer to play, but it also helps.
Yes,
it helps. So yes, it's very positive that we have more and more people at home, I think, in each game, that there's a positive trend. On the other hand, you can also look at it in a more negative way and say, is 8,000 people enough for the biggest game in Slovakia when the team is top of the table, having won 4 games previously, which is unusual, where the team showed sometimes better and sometimes worse football, but in every game I thought unbelievable character? Is 8,000 people enough?
Maybe not.
I don't know, because I haven't been here for a long time. I'm very thankful for everybody who did come, and they made a decent atmosphere. And also, where I come from, it's not so normal that the attendances are so dependent on results. The fans who come to the stadium, in my opinion, they should come because they feel parts of one big collective.
Yes, of course.
Win, lose or draw, we are together and we want to win against whoever is our opponent that day. And not so much, okay, it's going well, so I'm going to have a look at what they'll do in this game, and when we lose 2 or 3 games in a row, then you're not interested, because actually when you're losing, that's when you need the fans the most.
Trnava is specific city in this.
I don't know. I've only been here for what, 5 games, but
You'll see.
I get this feeling a little bit, yeah.
So, but overall, are you satisfied with the start of Fortuna Liga for your team?
Well, look, I think all of us are Trnava fans, right? So if at the beginning of the season somebody asked you, after 5 games you'll have 12 points, I think all of us will take it, including the biggest critics and including the most pessimistic fans. I think all of us would have signed on for 12 points after the first 5 games of the season. So from that aspect, it's been a very positive start. You know, the last game is always somewhere in the back of everybody's minds. This is normal. After Žilina, people will forget about Slovan, just like after Slovan, people forgot about Rosenberg. So right now, it's, you know, I'm not feeling perfect because I thought we could and should have played better in the derby. And also, what hurts the most is that looking at the game realistically and completely neutrally, I think we deserved the point. And when I have this feeling that we deserved it and we didn't get it, then it, you know, it stays with you for a few days longer than usual.
Okay, and I have some question about your personal life. So, have you children?
Yes, I have children, 3.
How old?
5, 4, and 2. I'm almost sure.
Okay, and what about your wife? Is she a football fan?
Well, no, not really. I'm not generally. I think she follows our results or the results of the team where I'm at. We almost never talk about football. But I don't think she understands very much when she watches a game or whatever.
You was born in Belgrade in Serbia, but you live in London and Vienna, so in which country is your wife?
My wife and kids are mostly in Vienna. Sometimes I visit them and sometimes they visit me here. But right now they're in Vienna. I lived in some more places as well. But like I said, it's a little bit strange, the whole organization of my life, but it's how it is. I'm British and that's how I feel. But I was born in Belgrade and I lived the first 7 or 8 years of my life there. I visit gladly, know many people from Serbia, but Serbia has never been a home to me, and neither has London really. The majority of time I spent in Britain was in a boarding school, and I feel British in many ways. But I don't feel at home there. Home for me is Vienna, but I'm absolutely not Austrian. I don't know. My children were born in Germany and in Austria, but they are also British. It's the modern world.
Yes, of course. We know you have a brother Nikon. He worked with you here in Spartak, but do you have any other siblings?
I have a sister. She is 1 year younger than me, and she also lives in Vienna, married to an Austrian. Not ideal, but okay, we've learned to live with this.
And what about your parents?
My parents also live in Vienna. So yeah, one of the reasons why I say Vienna is home, not because my house is there, but because, you know, my family are all in Vienna as well.
Okay, and the final question, why El Maestro, please?
would have been the first interview I'd ever did without this question. I can't remember. I remember that I wanted something cool, you know. But why I came... Oh, I remember. I'll tell you. At the time when I was thinking about changing my surname, I was like 17, I think. The best player in the world was Ronaldo, the real one, not this one, the Brazilian,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And his nickname was Il Fenomeno. It's not his official name, but
Yes.
that's how people called him. And I thought that is fantastic. And you know, I really wanted to be, you know, if not Il Fenomeno, something similar. I think that's how the idea started. How I came to El Maestro, I don't know, but you know, it is similar somehow. I think Il Fenomeno is Italian and El Maestro is Spanish, but I didn't speak Spanish at the time, so I don't know. Anyway, it should be some South American sounding. That's why.
Okay, thank you very much. We wish you all the best in Spartak Trnava. Thank you for the time you spent with us here in our TV show.
Always gladly with you.
Thank you. Today in our show was head coach of Spartak Trnava Nestor El Maestro. And už po slovensky, ja veľmi pekne ďakujem, že ste dnes sledovali našu diskusnú reláciu, ktorá bola dlhšia ako obvykle, ale určite aj oveľa zaujímavejšia a verím, že si nás zapnete na budúce na televízii Spartak.TV. Dovidenia.